Hello and welcome to the Irn-Cru podcast, NFL podcast made in Scotland by gridiron lovers. I have absolutely mangled that introduction. My name is Keith McGinty. I am your host, and this is the reason why you've not seen me for the past month, is because I'm absolutely honking at it. Thankfully, though, I've got some of the finest crew members around and available tonight to help me through and get my sea legs again. First up, I've got Scud. Not since Patrick Hewson's stag do in 2012, was that 2011? Has someone stunk up Germany so badly than the Patriots did last weekend, and we cleared a room out with our Moves Like Jagger dance. I've got Scud. Scud, welcome, buddy. How are we?
I'm good, buddy. Glad to be back again. Don't worry, you'll get there. We'll be gentle with you today.
Seriously, I feel like Kyler Murray here. I'm just like bouncing about the place. I've nowhere to go. I don't know what's happening yet. And true salute to service style. Dan's went all G.I. Jane with his haircut there, looking good. Welcome to the podcast, Cowboys fan Dan. How are we, mate?
I'm good, mate. Yourself? I'm a bit. I was saying the other round before we came on. I'm a bit all out of sorts. You're in my box tonight. That's not my seat. I'm a bit perplexed. Actually, getting introduced to. I'm getting introduced tonight, which is unusual. Yeah, glad to be here without
my seat warm for me, buddy. Thank you.
I'm glad to be here tonight without the pressure of having to host. So we'll see how this goes.
And joined we're also joined by the biggest dauber in Hamilton. It's Craig Spudger. How are we, buddy?
I'm never going to get tired of being introduced as a massive dauber. That's it. President of the Joshua Dobbs fan club, Hamilton branch. That's me. Doing good, mate. Good to be back in the pod. Gutted I missed last week to talk about last week's games, but the boys did a cracking job without me. So, good to be back and have a blather about this week.
I have to say, I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to the podcast. Dan, you've been doing a great job. The guys have been brilliant. I think we're getting into a wee bit more of a routine, and the regular guys on different podcasts. It seems to be working a wee bit well for us. If you're enjoying that, please let us know. You can find us on X, formerly Twitter, at Irn-Cru. We're on Instagram, Twitch, Threads. We're all over the place. But we're also joined.
Not just Keith hosting. He's talking about there.
Very much so. We're also joined by a special guest this evening, Brad Symcox from the Great British Chiefs Show on Arrowhead Pride is joining us tonight. Brad, welcome to the podcast. It's your returning time. You've been with us before.
Yeah. Returning guest. So, do I get a golden football or something like that?
Oh, I think we'll need to get.
It's a hat trick ball. You need to come back again.
All right. Hat-trick ball. All right.
A golden deep fried Mars bar. We'll get one of them sent to you. You were last on the run up to the Super Bowl, so must be very happy memories for you being on the podcast.
I've survived another game of the Chiefs trying to give me another heart attack, and you couldn't get a bigger heart attack than halftime in the Super Bowl. It was terrible.
That was just Taylor Swift performing, was it not?
This was sorry.
Thoroughly.
Is that not just Taylor Swift performing at halftime you're talking about?
Hey, if she's there this year, it'd be great. It'd be like a family reunion, wouldn't it?
Oh, I can imagine.
It'd be hilarious if Taylor Swift made it to the Super Bowl and the Chiefs didn't.
We'll see. There's still a long way to go. And that actually leads us into the first part we're going to talk about with our kickoff question. But before we do that, I wanted to just highlight and just send our condolences to Claire the Bear. Since we've been doing the podcast, which is just over a year ago, we've grown, but we've been very fortunate to get in touch with some people in the NFL community in the UK, and Brad, you've been one of them. You've been great with us, as has Claire, and Claire helped us out a couple of weeks ago with a giveaway, which she helped put on for us. Claire is just a wonderful, kind person, and sadly lost her mum during that week when we were doing our giveaway. She's got such a devotion to the fans in the UK that she wanted to make sure that the draw was still done, and she went ahead with it. We were asking her just to take a wee bit of time. Just there's more important things in football, but the the character that you guys all see, Claire the Bear, at games and on Twitter and that, is just a small indication of the kindness and the love that her mum has just given to her. And she's a wonderful, wonderful person, and we're all very much thinking about you, Claire, and wish you all the best to you and your family. So again, thanks very much to her. Delighted for the winner. Need to get wee pictures of what they've actually received and some of their little Scottish goodies that we got in there as well. But could not have done it without Claire. And very much thinking about you. As we mentioned, she's been great with us. As we mentioned there, we are doing our kick-off question. We are just over halfway through the season. It has absolutely flown in. I don't know if you guys remember the dark days of the off-season and how week to week we were maybe struggling to find. There was always a few things and we had some great discussions, but it felt like the season was miles away. But in week 11, this is ridiculous. With the extended league as well, so it's just about halfway through. Looking forward to the next half here. Just want to take a wee bit of chance to take a bit of stock and have a wee look back at some of the fantastic plays that we've had, some fantastic players. And I'm wanting to ask you guys who your Irn-Cru MVP so far is, because we're halfway there. There's still plenty of time for players to rise. We've seen a few rise in the past couple of weeks. Scud, I'm going to come to you first of all. Who has been your MVP so far?
There's a lot to choose from. I don't want to go with quarterback. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there, like your Hurts, Mahomes, even Stroud. But I think if I was to go for it, and just purely for offense here, the MVP is always a quarterback. But I would like to see it refreshing if someone like CMC or Hill got it. Just for what they're doing to with their respective teams is phenomenal. CMC is the heartbeat of the 49ers team, and Hill is just electric. I thought he would dip. Bonolin said it. I thought he would dip down when he left Mahomes in Kansas City, but it's been far from the case. And he's looking to set record pace this year for receiving yards and touchdowns and that. So I'd like to see it from one of those guys. So I know that's two, but to me, it'd be something I would like to see something different from the norm away from a quarterback. And there's lots of players on the defensive side of the balls I can go into as well, but I'll stick with those two to start with.
With Tyreek Hill and with two of the yards that he's had already this season, that's what many players would aspire to get for the full season. He's been ridiculous so far. Great choice. So are you picking one out of the two of them? Is there one you would think ekes just ahead from Christian McCaffrey or Tyreek Hill? Who you, if I'm putting you on the spot, who you picking there, Scott?
I would say if you go to the most valuable player, I think CMC is more valuable to San Francisco than Hill is to the Dolphins, so I'll go with CMC.
Fantastic. Amazing. We're going for the running back there, who of course just don't get paid and don't get cherished enough for the hard work that they do. Dan, I'll come to you and then Brad next. Dan, who are you taking for your Irn-Cru MVP so far?
I think so far, I don't think come the end of the season he's going to be in the conversation, but so far where he's got to, what he's done for his team this season, we discussed him last week. We gave him a lot of love in the podcast week. It's Myles Garrett. He's just been an absolute beast this season. I think that Cleveland D, we discussed him a lot last week. They are very, very good, but he is just an absolute athlete, and he probably is. We say he's up there for maybe joint second for defensive player of the year, but he's I think his season so far is MVP caliber. I don't think he'll be at the end of the season, but so far I'm going to go Myles Garrett.
Absolutely, I think that one of the plays of the season so far was the leaping over the offensive line just to get that block and the field goal was just utterly ridiculous.
A one-footed jump as well. He didn't even jump off. He jumped off 1 foot. It's just mental.
Incredible. Brad, what about yourself? Who is the MVP and why is the Pat Mahomes? Sorry, mind blank there.
Why isn't it Pat Mahomes? Why is it Pat Mahomes? No, I'm not going to say Pat Mahomes, actually. I think he has actually struggled quite a bit this year as Patrick Mahomes. He's not his vintage Mahomes at the minute. But Dan's actually stolen my my MVP candidate there. Myles Garrett has been absolutely lights out. He's a game wrecker. I love watching him whenever the Browns are playing on any of the games. I always try and look out for him, and because he is an absolute game wrecker at the minute. But if I had to choose somebody different, I think with the way that the Eagles have been positioned at the minute, and the way that Jalen Hurts has been playing recently, he's just not missed a beat since the defeat in the Super Bowl. So I think he's really kind of taken it on himself to really kind of make this Eagles team go back there and maybe do the whole hog this time, So I think probably Jalen Hurts is probably a good shout as well.
Yeah, Brian and Kev on the review crew have consistently said just how the Eagles have been just bubbling along. They've not been fantastic, but they've been doing just enough to get by, and that is credit to Hurts. I like that you had to go for Hurts just to get the wee dig in that he's beat him in the Super Bowl. That was nicely done. Very smooth, very smooth. Craig, what about yourself?
Well, I was in the same boat as Scud, to be honest. I had CMC, and I was between him and Tyreek Hill as well. The one thing I'll say about CMC, I was gutted for him last weekend, not getting his touchdown. They tried so hard to keep his touchdown streak going. So that's him. He's washed up now. Waiver wire material next weekend. Now that the streak's broken, but yeah, he's been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I would go for him, but just to throw in something different. And again, yeah, we've talked about how quarterbacks are always generally the nominations, but I've just been so impressed by Stroud. I think he's an absolute shoo-in for Rookie of the Season. We talked about it in the chat earlier on before we came on the pod. Stroud has just been fantastic to watch for the Texans. They have been completely revitalized. Him at quarterback's been sensational. So if he can continue, the numbers he's putting up, the number of touchdowns he's averaging, if he can consistently deliver that in the second half of the season, the way he has in the beginning of the season, he for me would absolutely be my player of the year.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. I think there's a lot I love for the number 2 pick. I think between them and I think it was a tight one to see who was going to go first in the overall draft, but he's done everything he can just to really help rejuvenate those Houston Texans. DeMeco Ryan certainly gets a lot of credit there too and bring them through, but he's got a couple of good old heads around him, which is helping bring him through. What about any outlandish wides shouts out there that you out of nowhere might rise in the last couple of games?
Absolutely. Come on, Josh Dobbs is going to be the player of the second half of the season. Come on.
Absolutely has to be. This is the mid-season award show. It's got to be Dobbs. Dobbs has just done not for one team, but for 2 teams. He's been able to help lift them up and give them a chance. Wow, what a season the guy's having. I hope it does continue, especially as the Vikes are on about a march now. Did you say, Craig, it's 5 games unbeaten?
5 games, yeah. Longest winning streak in the NFL at the moment, 5 games. And yeah, we're going to see. We're up against the team with the second longest win streak of 3 games in the NFL this week, Denver Broncos, who be an interesting one. But yeah, let's see what happens in Monday Night Football. Can't wait. Looking forward to it.
Any other out left field suggestions at all?
Keith, you can't throw that out there and me not go for my usual homer pick. I've got it's tradition. I can't not pick. I want to go CD Lamb. I think CD Lamb has turned up this season big time, and if he can keep this pace going, I don't think he's going to win MVP. I'm obviously just being a bit silly with that one, but he's turned up big time for us this year, and I think if he can keep the pace going, then he's not going to hit Tyreek Hill type numbers, but he's going to become one of the top receivers by the end of the season if he keeps going the way he's going.
Certainly has. I think he's got a wee record going just now for his number of receptions the past couple of games as well. The guy's just been doing terrific. Would it be Pollard if he could go over that line into the end zone?
If you get past the line of scrimmage, never mind into the end zone. Maybe. Obviously, I'm not going to do it. I don't know what's happened to Tony Pollard this year, but he's he'd be maybe more pass orientated this year, which is obviously working to an extent.
It's
helping
working.
CD Lamb anyway, so I'm not complaining.
What about Deuce Vaughn? I thought we had high hopes for him. I see he's
I know.
now the punt returner.
It looks like Rico Dowdle's kind of took a big step up. He had a good game last week. I've not got his numbers to hand, but watching the game last week, he had a good break through runs and stuff like that. So he's obviously edged them out a wee bit. And I think what helps Dowdle as well is probably with Tony Pollard, he's more of the speed back. Dowdle gives us a bit more power. I think that's probably what's edged them out over Deuce Vaughn. But Deuce is still Deuce. He's around for a while. I'm not worried about him.
Good. Anyone else, Brad? Scud?
Mac Jones? No, sorry.
I think to say that, didn't you?
Can't really think of anyone else.
MVP
That's it. Done. Just hand out the award now. Just get to Mac Jones.
Definitely MVP for all the other teams that they're playing against. Absolutely. He's just really giving the cornerbacks and safety some a little bit of fluff into their stats this year, aren't they? I suppose him and Josh Allen are doing that.
He's the MVP, most villainous patriot.
Hey. Very good. Fantastic. We will start then having a wee look. We're going to have a deep dive into 3 of the top, most interesting games that we think for the week ahead in week 11. And we're going to start with the Eagles travelling to see the Chiefs. Brad, I'm going to come to you first. How is your Chiefs cooking just now? Not long back from the trip to Germany, where you actually got to go see them, but I'd love to hear about it. How was it for you?
I'm still recovering now. I think it's 2 weeks down, and I'm still got some kind of COVID, German COVID or something. I don't know what the hell it is, but I've got something. Might have been the German beer. It might be. I'm not going to rule that out. It could be the German beer and the copious amounts of bratwurst that we've been eating as well. But the whole thing was it was a phenomenal experience. I don't know if you guys heard it on the TV, but it was very different to a regular international series game.
Right.
I think the Chiefs Kingdom, the Chiefs fans turned out. There was a lot of people there that we knew from Kansas City that had actually flown in as well. So we had some veterans there leading the cheers and stuff, which was good. But the Dolphins, there was quite a lot of Dolphins fans there as well. But I think the Chiefs fans kind of edged it with something like 60-40, 60 or 70-30 or something like that in favor of the
Chiefs. Definitely.
But trick, absolutely fantastic. And to witness that defensive shovel pass to Brian Cook was that whole place just lit up from that. It was absolutely phenomenal. So the whole experience was brilliant.
How is Frankfurt as a host city? The stadium itself looks incredible, and I think they had the curtains over, so it made it more like a dome, containing the atmosphere, containing the sound. It was quite a lot of the American stadia are open air, so the kind of voices and noise gets lost into the skies above. I like that about our football stadiums that we've got here in the UK, when the noise just keeps in, contains it, and it just amplifies it. Did you find that at the game?
Yeah, it felt really loud with the kind of roof on. It was funny as well because you could see the punters actually hitting the jumbotron in the middle of the field, so they're actually aiming around it because they were always hitting it. They were always knocking it, putting the ball into the screens. So it was good. Yeah, it was really, really good. And like I said, the atmosphere was really loud, and I think because they had the roof on, it kind of helped a lot with that, I think.
Fantastic. So this is the first time you're playing the Eagles since the Super Bowl. Do you think it'll be a wee bit of a grudge match between the two teams? Is there something there to prove for Hurts and AJ Brown and the likes?
Yeah, I think it's going to be definitely treated as a rematch. I think for the Eagles, I think the Chiefs are just going about it as a normal game, but I think with it being like at home as well, at Arrowhead, Monday Night Football, the fans will get up for it, and I know the team will get up for it as well. But the Eagles have got a chip on their shoulder. I think they want to right the wrong that happened to them in the Super Bowl, which I can fully understand that. I mean, following the Chiefs over a good number of years now, being the very nearly men and almost getting that, getting over the line, even in the AFC Championship games and stuff like that, it's heartbreaking. And I witnessed it again when the Chiefs lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it hurts. It really does hurt. You just want that revenge game to come around again. And I think the Eagles will definitely have that.
We have been talking in the Gridiron Crew group chat today about the comparisons between the Bill Belichick and Tom Brady Patriots, and how Tom Brady was able to elevate his wide receiver core, who maybe not have been elite at the time, and how Patrick Mahomes is able to do something similar. Certainly did it last season, and not quite cooking fully this year, but he's still able to get the best out of the wide receiver core that you've got just now. Would you say that's a fair comparison? Quite early on in Pat's career, still he's got a lot to do to catch up with Tom. But would you say that they're quite similar in that way, in how they can help bring on players and elevate them?
I think you can do. I think Mahomes, like you said, he proved it last year that he can win a Super Bowl without the star wide receivers. But I think this year, I can't really put my finger on what it is. I don't know if it's, a lot of teams really kind of focusing on Kelsey a lot more. Like we saw it with the Dolphins in the last game, 3 players on Kelsey for one of the touchdowns. And we've had a lot of drops this year in the wide receiver room. There's been a lot of missed opportunities there. I think Kadarius Toney was another one. Literally the first game of the season, I think he had something like 4 or 5 drops straight away, and it was like, what on earth are we doing here? He's meant to be our WR1. But there is some glimmer of hope there. I think Rashee Rice is starting to really kind of understand it a lot more, and it's strange to see a rookie wide receiver in an Andy Reid offense really kind of getting it straight away. So it just shows the level of intelligence that Rashee Rice has in understanding this Andy Reid offense. So there's a lot of buzz around Chiefs Kingdom at the moment about Rashee Rice, but there was before about Justin Ross, who we've actually lost at the moment because he's been arrested for something. I don't know what the hell it was, but there was a lot of buzz around Justin Ross because he really kind of shone in the preseason, and I think a lot of fans really wanted to see him take off in this team, and I think they thought that him and Mahomes pairing up would have been the perfect tonic for this. I don't know if you heard, but Pat Mahomes' dad actually said that Justin Ross was going around to Patrick Mahomes' house a lot to go and practice on the field with him, and they were really kind of building a chemistry. So to lose that, I think it's taken a bit of a wind out of our sails with this up-and-coming star, I'll say in quotation marks, but I think Rashee Rice is really kind of building into that now. It's really looking good for him.
Yeah, he certainly is. And behind Travis Kelce, who's got 597 yards so far, Rashee Rice is a good 100 yards more than Justin Watson in third place. Rice has got 378 yards. So you can see, as you said, for a rookie to come into such a big, well-oiled machine like the Chiefs and be able to make a mark all on his own, he's doing very well. He's tying Kelce with 4 touchdowns as well for the season. Jerick McKinnon's next there in third place with 3 touchdowns. So they seem to be favouring him. He seems to be really, really looking to him. And Pat Mahomes and that purpose-built football pitch that he's got in that beautiful house of his, I can see he's making the most of it. Certainly looks that way.
I think the big thing as well, though. I think the big thing really with this Chiefs offense was the plan was to spread it around to everyone, and for teams to not really know where the ball or where the attack was actually going to come from. And I think that was the plan all along. I think getting rid of Tyreek Hill was obviously one of those things because a lot of teams were playing, they're covering up on him over all the time. They're playing, too high safeties and things, and just making sure that they were taking him out of the game. And I think the Chiefs kind of recognized that and thought, well, let's have a load of unknown wide receivers and have Travis Kelce as the kind of focal point, and then everybody will focus in on Kelce, and it'll open up the wide receiving room. But like I said, the drops have just really killed us quite a lot this year. So,
Keith, can I just ask Brad about non-players? Is that all right?
Go for it. Go for it.
Brad, Sky Moore, what's the story with him? He seemed to come in with a lot of hype and a lot of. I mean, I've just pulled his numbers up, and his numbers aren't actually the worst. I mean, he's got 201 yards off of 16 receptions. He's averaging nearly 13 yards a reception, but he doesn't seem to have kind of lit up as much as what he was expected at the start of the season. What's the thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Yeah, there's a lot of hype around Sky Moore, but whatever it is, I don't know what it is. Whether I was saying before about Rashid Rice kind of getting it, kind of understanding the scheme. Sky Moore, he's had the opportunities as well. I think there was one, I can't remember what game it was now. It was a couple of games ago where he was open in the end zone and it was over the shoulder. He had his hands there and he just dropped it. It was an absolute gimme. And he's had a few of those where I don't know if it's a confidence thing or I don't know if it's, like I said, an intelligence or understanding of the scheme. I don't know what it is, but Mahomes is trying to force it to these guys, but they're letting him down. Or there's a few of them that are letting him down. But I think also as well, I think because even though the Chiefs are trying to spread it around to everyone, they're trying to work out who is their WR1s and who is their WR2. And you're starting to see a bit more of an emergence now of a couple of players that might actually fit that mold. So we're thinking that maybe coming out of the bye week, he might find that he actually scheme his preferred WR1, which is probably Rashid Rice, and scheme them in a bit more in the second half of the season. But yeah, it's a big question mark at the moment for a lot of Chiefs fans of what is actually going on with this wide receiving room. It's weird.
It's probably good timing. Sorry, I was just say it's probably good timing as far as the Chiefs going off their bye week goes, because you're talking about how they're going to prioritise wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. They're up against an Eagles team that's allowed the least number of yards on the ground per game in the NFL. So they're really going to have to try and distribute the ball through the air, and Pat Mahomes is going to have to work really hard on that against this Eagles defence. So this is that opportunity that you were talking about for guys like Rashid Rice to come off that bye week and really try and establish himself as a receiver in this team. And if they can afford not to make those mistakes, those crucial drops that you were talking about, Brad, that's probably another key thing that they've probably addressed during the bye week, that they've said that's something we're really going to have to work on the second half of the season. So, yeah, Mahomes, I think he's going to be chucking the ball a lot through the air in this game against the Eagles.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the Chiefs' run game isn't particularly great. I mean, we do like obviously really will punch a hole. He's not one of the big kind of running backs that you'd expect. He's quick and he will pound the turf as much as possible to get through. But it's not something that we seem to rely on a lot. We seem to rely on a lot more with Pat Mahomes, more on Kelsey, and obviously what the wide receiving room can do. So it's going to be interesting. But it's going against the Eagles. You're right. They don't really like an air raid offense. I think that's probably the key for this game, and just stick to that plan.
An angry runner, as Studs would always say about Pacheco. He's very much an angry runner. For those playing the Gridiron Crew Bingo, actually have just about completed it there now, once we've got that in. Looking at the previous 10 games, they always seem to be high-scoring games, especially the past few. 38-35 in the Super Bowl. Chiefs won 42-30 last time they played at the Eagles. And last time they were at Arrowhead, it was a 27-21 for the Chiefs. So the Chiefs kind of have the Eagles number at the moment. But as we said, it's been a different Eagles team. This seems to be a team on the rise who are just learning how to win. This will be a really, really tough challenge for both teams. It'll be really, really interesting to see how they stand up to this. One last thing before we move on to the Eagles is, how's your defense been doing? Because I think it's been a bit of a surprise over the past maybe year or so, is just how solid the Chiefs' defense has become. Drew Tranquil is leading the team just now with 56 tackles, and as George Karloftis is winning with the sack race with 6 so far this season. How's your team looking on defense now?
Honestly, I think that's the only thing that's winning us games at the minute. I think we've had 2 games this season where the Chiefs' offense has kind of lit up, but the rest of them have all really been down to the defense. And it has been a surprise because it's a very young defense. And it's something that we're not used to. We're not used to having a really good defense. I think over the last few years, okay, it's kind of showed up a bit. Obviously, when we had the likes of Tyrann Mathieu, we had Frank Clark and those kind of players. But to see the young guys stepping up now, Carl Aftis, like you said, he brings pressure. He's a really good player that we're kind of relying on a lot. But it seems to be led by the linebackers. I mean, the linebacker that we had, Nick Bolton, who went down injured.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually worried because he really does set the defense really well. He's got a really good mind on him. But Drew Tranquil, like you said, he's just slotted in so perfectly well. And he's shone. He really has shone. But not only that, but I think Justin Reed, he's been looking phenomenal recently as well, which, again, another surprise. You thought he's a good player, but the way he's been playing and the speed that this secondary has been the biggest surprise. I mean, McDuffie is one of those lockdown corners that you'd expect as first round pick, but you've got the likes of Snead on the other side as well, which another fast guy. It's just really nice to see that it's not all the offense that has been winning games for the Chiefs. It's now the turn of the defense. The defense is getting some love in the fan base. Really is. They're very proud of the fact that I think we're number 2 defense so far. And we've played some really difficult teams. We've already gone up against Justin Jefferson. We've already gone up against Tyreek Hill. And they've held their own. They've been really good. I think AJ Brown's going to be, it's going to be one of those that I think the Chiefs are really going to have to look after. But I think the way that they've been playing recently in the secondary, I think they're more than capable of doing it.
Turning, Dan, you were if you remember having a wee look at the Eagles for us today. Turning to the Eagles, and we're talking about the defense actually rising for the Chiefs. The fewest number of points that the Eagles have allowed so far this season have been 14. Quite a lot. 11. Quite a lot of their games have been high scoring. Ones where they just edge it. Last up was it against the Cowboys themselves was 28-23. It could really go either way in many of those games. Kind of a wee bit like the Vikings last season. It was one score games in it tight. Yep. I think this is a game that it really, really could go either way for them and maybe show up their 7-1 record. What have you made of the Eagles so far then this season, Dan?
What I'll start with is talking about, because obviously Bradley was talking about the passing attack of the Chiefs. So one of the things that I think we've spoken about a lot on the podcast is the Eagles secondary. And I think at one point this season we said they've been through 15 different DBs already this season, which is just a ridiculous amount of players to go through it in the secondary. Looking at their pass defense, is compared to what you look at the rest of the team, it is poor. Most of it's within the worst kind of 2 or 3 in the league. I mean, the only thing they probably are decent at is the average yards per pass is okay, but average passes per game, average yards per game, pass completion, pass play percentage is all within the worst 5 teams in the league. So they really are struggling at the back end, which is what you don't want to be when you're coming up against Pat Mahomes. I mean, obviously they got the result against us last week, but the CD Lamb got a lot. Even Brandon Cooks got a lot of catches last week, and the space that he got was unusual for him. So I think that pass D for the Eagles really is going to have to step up this week. Looking at the stats, I had the player stats here a second ago. Where have they went? Stats. The back end of the list of players they've got here is just, man, I'm not going to go through them all, but on that side of the ball, they really need to step up on that. Whereas, as you mentioned, the run defense, though, that's the complete opposite. I mean, they're doing brilliantly in the run defense. I mean, number 1 in the league for average rushes per game, number 1 for yards allowed per game, number 1 for rushing TDs per game. So they're stopping the ball on the ground. I mean, they're averaging only 66 yards on the ground against them. That's a phenomenal amount of yards to have as your average, not just a one game. And they're averaging a third of a touchdown per game against them on the ground. That's
it's totally stark, isn't it? It's mental when you look at the stats like that, how bad they are at letting points and yards through the air compared to on the ground. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, well, when I pulled these up earlier on, I looked at them and I thought, wow, I mean, the worst they are is average yards per rush. They're seventh in the league, but even that's only 3.7. So it's not as if they're. I mean, so yeah, when you look at the two sides of their defense, it's so different, and that's unusual. You normally would get, if they're good on the ground, they're okay in the back end. The back end, they're okay on the ground, but to have basically the best run defense against arguably one of the worst pass defenses, that's just an anomaly. Can I speak? So they're really going to have to step up. I mean, we've just spoke at the Chiefs and their wide receiver room there. If Mahomes can service those wide receivers, he's going to get a lot of joy through there this week. And they're probably, and as Brad said, they're going to have to go through there because of those stats. What you might see though is a lot of screenplays to kind of move the defense about. I think as well, they need to get the run going to an extent to get the play action in. But I think they maybe see a lot of screens, maybe some wide receiver screens, some definitely tight end screens and wide running back screens, which will then they're going to have to then adjust that run defense to counter that. So I think that's one way the Chiefs could get a bit of success on the ball. Looking at teams we've played this season, they've obviously only lost to the Jets, which was a strange one. But as you say, Keith, they've let in 11 points. It was against the Bucs.
Yeah,
they kept the Bucs to 11 points, but everything else, I mean, they've got 11 to the Bucs, 14 to the Rams, 17 to Miami. So keep Miami at 17 points. That's some achievement considering their aerial threat that they've got. Absolutely. Every other game has been over 20 yards. I mean, even like the Pats scored 20 yards against them. What does that tell you?
The 20 points that the Pats and the Finns that managed to hold them back to. They've got to be able to take some solace in that. When you think of players, so some of their leaders in the defensive areas, and you've got Hassan Reddick. He's got 7.5 sacks already this season. 16 solo, 19 in total. Josh Sweat, Jalen Carter, the rookie from Georgia, I think it is.
Yeah.
He's just settled into that team. And I think having so many Georgian players there, I think it really just really helps bring out the best in him and keep him in check. Number of actual tackles there. Reed Blankenship leading the team with 55. The safety, he's doing great there. He's got 2 interceptions as well. But when it comes to like Darius Slay is the other player that they've got at cornerback there, and James Bradbury, are they really settling on them, or is it just been trying to throw whoever they can in that position just to get that wee bit of cover?
I think Slay probably is their number one cornerback, to be honest with you. He probably is. Yeah. He is their number one cornerback. They've obviously picked up Bayard from the Titans at the tail end of the window there. So that was a good pickup for them as well. So he'll give them a bit of cover as well. But yeah, I mean, Slay is their number one. But yeah, it's just been a case of patching up and getting whoever they can in that secondary onto the field. Let's see, look at I've got their depth chart here. Let's see what they've got. So yeah, Slay, Bradbury are their two, number one, number two, and then you've got Bayard and Blankenship at safety. That's your 4 key players that they've got in those positions. So that looking at their depth chart, they've probably got the first 4 choices now playing at the back end for them, which is probably not happening very often this season for them at the back end. So yeah, they're probably getting the players they want back into positions. It's just the numbers so far this season have been dreadful in there for them.
We were talking about the rushing game from the Chiefs here, Pacheco being probably the main target for the Chiefs. DeAndre Swift joined from the Lions last season and is currently leading the team with 614. How do you guys feel that he's doing there? Scud, let me bring you into the conversation then. How do you think Swift's doing with the Eagles this year? Are you surprised that the Lions were willing to let him go? And do you think that it's been a shrewd pickup there by Rose again?
Yeah, no, definitely. I was surprised to let him go, to be honest with you. He'd always the talent, but time with injuries and with quarterbacks, you never know if you're going to get them back the same. Which they've got the young boy Gibbs in, so they've probably went, we'll take a chance and we'll punt him on. Because they get rid of Williams as well, so they've just refreshed at running back, really. But I think Swift's been a great pickup for the Eagles. He's performed really well so far, and it gives them that wee something else, obviously, when they let Sanders go. They've had to bring somebody in to step up to it. So they've got a sort of three-headed... They've got three running backs that they circle in, the game mail, etc. So they've got three that they're always spinning round in there. But I think Swift is their number one running back now. So I definitely think that's been a good bit of business for them. It gives them that option because they want to have that threat of the run either from the running backs, Hurts, that hopefully frees up the space for the wide receivers up the field. So it's definitely been a shrewd bit of business. I would give them that, definitely.
Absolutely.
Every good team needs a Swiftie.
Very good. Very good. But like you say, having that threat on the ground also does open it up, and I think that's where AJ Brown has really excelled so far this season. Craig, how impressed have you been by him? I think that he had a record of, was it 4 or 5 games with at least 125 yards. That hadn't been done before. The guy's been incredible.
AJ Brown's been absolutely phenomenal. Some of the catches that he's made this season have been ridiculous. They're like Jefferson-esque type catches. He's been the absolute standout wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's got almost double the receiving yards compared to Devonta Smith, who I still really love. Like I've always been a big fan of Devonta Smith as well. Ever since they drafted him as a rookie.
That's because he's sorted some name.
Exactly. He's another smudger. I will always root for a smudger in the NFL, Scud. You know that.
A brother from another smudger. There we
go. Correct. Only a mother could tell us apart. But yeah, AJ Brown's been incredible. And he's been a big reason why the Eagles have been so successful, why they're sitting 8-1 on top of the NFC East. It's going to be really fascinating to see how he does against this Chiefs defense, and also he's got one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL throwing to him as well. Hurts has just built on what he's already established last season. He's come into that Eagles team and really kind of carried that on his shoulders. So I've been really impressed by them. They've just gone on from last season, built on that really. Whether I think they're gonna go to Arrowhead and get a win or not, don't know. Like you were saying, it's going to be really close. It's going to be a great game of football.
I'll come to that, Cam. You'll get your prediction later.
I know.
No, actually, no. He segued in perfectly for us there. I'm just realised that we've spent 25 minutes on the game of the weekend. I've done an absolute dance here.
Exactly.
See, Thursday night. See, you give us grief for Thursday nights going long. Look at this, 45 minutes in, we're only done one game.
Okay, right, Craig, I'll come to you first then. What is your predictions for the match then this weekend or this Monday night?
I'm going for. I'm swithering. I'm on the fence here. You're putting me in the spot.
Yeah, fence. Yeah,
No, I think I've been impressed by the Eagles, but I think the Chiefs coming off the bye, what we were talking about earlier on, I'm going for a Chiefs win.
Yeah.
Thumbs up
getting
from
the Eagles
Brad.
there for Brad. You're getting the Eagles there. Fantastic. Brad, I take it you're going for a homer then?
I'm definitely a homer on this one. After what I saw against the Dolphins, I think this defense is going to really kind of step up. And I think you're right. I think after the bye, Andy Reid after the bye is going to be a big thing. And I really do believe that they're going to scheme up Rashee Rice a lot more. I'm actually going for a Chiefs win, quite comfortable. 31-21, and it's all going to come through the air raid attack.
Fantastic. Scud, what about yourself?
I'll go opposite just to keep it different, but also my brother might disown me if I go against the Eagles. But I'll go with the Eagles, and I'll say flip of the Super Bowl score, 38-35 Eagles.
Ooh, okay. Like that.
It's not counting this time though. That's the thing, but it'd be a nice wee sign of the wind changing direction. Dan, what about yourself?
Before I get my prediction, I don't know if anybody's looked at their phone in the last couple of minutes, but Martin on our fantasy chat just put a wee link in there that the brains behind the tush push has been revealed. It's Richie Gray,
I'm coming to that.
Scotland rugby player.
I'll come to that. Right, let's get your prediction first.
Sorry. I'm going to go. I can't go Eagles. I just can't go Eagles for obvious reasons. Going to go Chiefs in a walk-off win. Butt kicker's going to win it for them.
Ooh.
Let's be honest, Dan. The Eagles could be playing the Panthers or the Cardinals, whoever, and you would still go for the opposite teams.
100%. Anyone but the Eagles.
There we go. I think it's been quite compelling. The defense, I think, if it is going to be won by the Chiefs, it'll be the defense that will help certainly do that. There'll be a major part in it, but I just feel there's a change, and I think we've been waiting for the game for the Eagles to really show a bit of dominance and really raise their game, and I think it's going to be in this game here. So I'm going to go for the Eagles. So it's a 3-2 split, but I'll go for the Eagles, and I think maybe by 2 scores. 2 scores, I think. I think it's going to be a coming back down. One thing I'm really looking forward to seeing, though, is, as you said, the Chiefs coming off the bye and what they're going to scheme up. We had Ring of Roses last year. Are they going to get what they're going to get? They're going to get the. Hopefully they've been to Germany. Maybe a wee stopover in Scotland to get the slosh coming out there, and
maybe the shake it off. I don't know, something like that. You know,
shake it off. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what they come up with. Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes and the guys there. And as Dan mentioned there, I was listening to one of the other podcasts during the week, and they were speaking to the guy who helped develop the tush push and give hints and tips to the Philadelphia Eagles. He said it was during the off season they were developing something. They were looking for his input. So Richie Gray is a former rugby coach who has been coaching South Africa at the time and was invited over to the Miami Dolphins, where he was invited in for a week and ended up staying for a bit longer. His name got around a wee bit because of the similarities. It's not real connection between NFL and rugby. They're totally different sports, he says, but the similarities between how to tackle safely, and how the players can protect themselves and bring players down more efficiently. And that was why he was brought in. When he went to the Eagles to see something that they were developing, and they were looking for his input in it, and it ended up being the tush push, or as I prefer, because it has really been adapted, and they're the leaders in the market for the tush push, the brotherly shove, I think it's come to be known as now, which is terrific. And it was on Jason and Travis Kelce's podcast. They were talking about this mad Scottish guy that was coming in to help out. I think that's fantastic. Again, Scotland leading the world and inventions there. So that's another one we can add on to the telly, radio, deep fried Mars bars. Super. Right. let's get a wiggle on, guys. Let's get a move on. I've got my dinner still to get here. Let's head to upstate New York, to a New York derby of some sorts, you could say, for the Jets travelling to the Buffalo Bills. Who's looking at this one then for us this week? We've got Scud. You're leading us on this one. Go for it then, bud. That's good. No, let's move on. Cards, Texans.
No, it's actually going to be interesting to see how Buffalo bounce back. I mean, Allen's found it really, really hard this season so far. I think it was earlier. He's threw 19 touchdowns, but 11 interceptions, the most in the NSL.
Yes.
But he went through that patch last year, but this year they've not seemed to bounce. They seem to have nothing. They seem to be really struggling. To me, the only bright spark in their offense, taking out Diggs, has been the rookie tight end, Kincaid. Yep. I've been really impressed by him, and it's good for. I suppose he's taking his chance now. Knox got injured, so he's taking his wee chance with him being down. He's been the sole one because they're both splitting touches, which was hell if you're playing fantasy. But for football, it's a good thing because you had the options. But he's really coming on to a game, and he really seems good. But I just think, I don't know what Buffalo are an enigma, and they could probably turn up and demolish the Jets. But I think the Jets defense, with how much he's tossing the ball up, could have a field day. But unfortunately, the Jets can't push the ball forward. So
I think that's where the game's really going to come out. This is everything we talk about the Jets, and we were curious as to why Aaron Rodgers was choosing to go there, but they've got a legitimate defense. There, you've got Sauce Gardner, who's terrific. It'll be good to see how he goes up against Stephon Diggs after his brother's outburst this week. I wonder how much his head's going to actually be in the game. Josh Allen, as you mentioned, got 11 interceptions so far this season. Dak Prescott must be chuckling away to himself there, Dan, at that. Exactly. But he's still got 2,600 yards so far. He's just not quite looked himself. This is culminated in the firing of offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey. Is that usual for someone to be an offensive coordinator to be sacked in mid-season like this? I mean, Matt Canada's still in a job. How's that happen? Dan, is this an unusual situation that they find themselves in?
Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't say it's usual. I also wouldn't say it's unusual, if that makes sense. Right. I mean, when you look at these sort of things, with a team like the Bills, where their overall record's not the worst. Do you know what I mean? So they're not going to fire the head coach. So they need to find someone to be a scapegoat. And when the offense isn't firing on all cylinders, it's going to be the OC, because you can't fire the quarterback. You're not going to drop Josh Allen. They're not going to sack the head coach. So who's left? It's the OC. I mean, so I think that was it a surprise? Probably not. I think when you look at their results and stuff like that, they should be doing better. By far should be doing better. And we've spoke a lot about the Bills over this season on the podcast and where we think that. And I've been, since the off-season, I've not changed my opinion on them. But yeah, it's not unusual for the OC to be fired. I mean, you probably don't see it as often as you would think in terms of when you look at our football, it's always the coach or the manager gets sacked. It's not the assistant manager. You know what I mean? It's so unless the team is having an absolute shocker like the Raiders and they fire Josh McDaniels, that's because the whole thing is wrong, not one side of the ball. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what it comes down to.
There really wasn't it?
Sorry?
It was toxic there at the Raiders. It seemed to just need to be cleansed.
Yeah, so that's an example where you maybe see the head coach going at this point in the season, or when it gets to a point where the owners gave up on the season, they knows next season we need to start afresh, and maybe change it mid-season for that. But the Bills, it's like the OC's what's got to go. Not the. I mean, if the defense is performing really poorly overall, then your defensive coordinator is going to get the sack. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be the head coach. So I think the NFL is kind of unusual in that aspect of where an assistant coach will get fired before a head coach.
I think it's the timing.
I'm just going to come back to you then. Oh, yeah, go for it.
I'm just going to say it's the timing for me. I think that's the thing that's question mark for me. Is it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction at 5-5 when you're midway through the season, you fire your offensive coordinator. It just seems a bit. I mean, I get it. I get the fact that he's clearly hasn't.
Something must have been sour in that building. Yeah. Something must have been sour in there.
Do you know what? Yeah. But actually, just what you're saying there, actually, I've just pulled up the Bills stats, right? The offensive stats, they're top 10, almost top 5 for a lot of the stats. So I think it's just because when you watch them play, you can see they're not clicking. They're not the Bills we're used to seeing. But their numbers are actually...
They're still putting up numbers.
Numbers, I mean, they're, let's see, number 2 for third down conversions, number 3 for red zone scoring percentage, 5 for touchdowns per game, 5 for points per play useless. Yards per game, they're 7. Points per game, they're 8. So they're in. I mean, their worst stat, I know you're going to count it's 4th down conversions, but even that's still at 50%. So the worst ranking their offense is 8th in the league, and that's for points per game. That's now I've read this, I'm actually surprised, to be fair. That does surprise me. That's pulled the stats up. Sorry.
One thing that you're mentioning there, the stats and how they are doing quite well. But if you look at since week 3, week 4, they've not had a game that's been any bigger than a 1-score game. All their wins have been within 1 score. The New York Giants, they won that 14-9. When you see what the Cowboys have done to the Giants, they really should be doing a lot better. Even the Pats, who are having a terrible season so far, Scud, you'd probably agree, were within 4 points there. They were within 4 points of the Pats, but the Pats beat them. Yeah, the Pats beat them. But so have the Bengals. I think maybe the last straw was Denver. The Denver Broncos were the ones to beat them last week, 24-22. This is teams that you would expect them to beat. And we talk all the time about the Buffalo Bills, their window, how it's getting shut more and more, their opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. And it looks very, very minuscule that it's open. It's just catching a wee cold breeze just now.
Just what you're saying there about the teams have lost to, that's maybe probably part of the problem. It's not the games that they're losing, it's who they're losing to. So they've lost to the Jets, they've lost to the Patriots, they've lost to the Broncos. Anybody that loses to those 3 games deserves to be sacked, to be fair, in the one season.
Oh, yeah.
It's good.
No, I was going to say, you're looking at now, the Jets, and I'm going to say they're still our favourites to beat the Jets. But after that, they've got the Eagles, Kansas, Dallas, Chargers, the Pats, and Dolphins. So you'd say maybe they'll beat the Jets and the Pats. They're going to have to go to Miami, go to the Chargers, go to Philadelphia, go to Kansas, and Dallas are playing at home. To me, they might only win our 2 wins the rest of the season. And if they finish below 500, then the head coach is Sean McDermott's in a shaky peg, I would have thought.
I think so. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, Craig.
Yep. I think, the fact that they've got rid of the OC at this point in the season, you're playing a divisional game against the Jets this week. That division, they're only a win away from being joint with the Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins have been a wee bit hot and cold as well. The Jets, they're one of the lowest scoring teams in the whole NFL, but they're still in amongst it, you would say, in that division. And they've possibly got Rodgers coming back a lot earlier than we might think, which could make that division even more interesting. So maybe it's a wee bit of the panic button being pressed by the Bills. They haven't met expectations as far as this season goes. There have been rumours of things not all being as they should be behind the scenes. We've seen what Trayvon Diggs has been tweeting about what his brother should do. They've certainly got an opportunity this week against the Jets. You would think they would still have enough to beat them, and particularly because it's a divisional game, it makes it even more important.
Yes.
The question is, will they then have enough to kick on for the second half of the season to try and keep pace with the Dolphins? We know what Miami can do. When they're great, they are one of the most unbeatable teams, but they've also beaten down the Dolphins this season. They gave them an absolute beatdown earlier on this season, which you thought was them going to basically stamp their authority on that division, and it's just not the way it's panned out. They probably played the Broncos at the wrong time as well. They've been in the ascendancy a little bit. They're now on a 3-game winning streak like we talked about. There has been maybe just a few games where the expectations maybe been a bit too high. I don't know. Maybe they're still living in last season a little bit. So it's this week's going to be massive for them. They really have to put in a good performance against the Jets, beat the Jets, and keep pace with the Dolphins and hope they can kick on from there. Really.
So moving then to the Jets, who have actually already beat the Bills at the opening game of the season, 22-16. Robert Saleh has mentioned this week that when Aaron Rodgers feels he's ready to return, he's ready to come back in. People are already touting for the end of December, which when you think of coming back for an Achilles injury is absolutely ridiculous. Would you be willing to rush him in, Brad, so soon after such a horrendous injury? Do you think that could be enough to help turn the team? The Jets, are they really just hoping that their defense can keep them relevant until Aaron Rodgers returns?
I think they've just been keeping their heads above water, I think, haven't they? That seems to be the key, what they've been doing with Zach Wilson. I mean, they might be tempted to bring back Rodgers early if his treatments works that well. I don't think you're going to keep Aaron Rodgers off the field, especially, I mean, if it's getting towards the business end of the season and they may be sitting in a seat to actually get into the playoffs. It could be that they might throw him in. I don't know, but I think really you've got to kind of stick with what you know, especially with the Zach Wilson. And I know he's not great. I think he's only got like 5 touchdowns this year or something, and 6 interceptions, which is not great. But there seems to be a bit of a buzz around trying to, the rest of the team trying to help him out. And I think that seems to be a bit more of a key that I've seen from the Jets. They really are rallying around Zach Wilson. And kind of handing the keys to him in a proper way. I mean, everybody knows that Rodgers is going to be the guy, but I think they're going to really kind of help Zach Wilson along as best they can. But rushing Rodgers back, is that going to be good with an aging quarterback? And obviously the injury that he had, I mean, Achilles, I mean, that's normally a death sentence for a lot of players, not even, not just a top NFL quarterback in Rodgers. So who knows what they're going to do? But I don't think they should be tempted, but I think they will be tempted, and I think it'll be down to Rodgers dictating whether he plays or not.
I think we all saw from the Hard Knocks and the off-season just how focused they were on Rodgers being the man to push them on, to bring them on, but also to help mentor Wilson. And I think this has maybe been a wee bit too soon. It was incredible to see how quickly the team had rallied around Wilson, especially after last season when we saw the t-shirts for what's his name, he's at Miami
Mike
Dolphins
White.
now. Mike fucking White, that's it. Mike fucking White t-shirts. It was incredible to see how much they had rallied around Zach Wilson. Wilson's got a completion rate of 59% so far this year, so he's not really stepped up in the way that they really would want him to. Breece Hall.
Just on that point you made there about the team rallying around Zach Wilson, I think it's something we mentioned that it was last week, like before. What I think massively helped that was Aaron Rodgers. He came out after his injury, or maybe even before his injury, and he said, "I'm here for a couple of years, and then Zach Wilson's your future NFL, your franchise quarterback." I think the fact that Rodgers endorsed him, what bigger endorsement can you get as a quarterback? So I think the fact that the team have looked like, well, if he believes in him, then we believe in him, and I think that's helped that thing massively this season for Zach Wilson.
You can't forget either as well. I mean, he played really well against the Chiefs as well. I mean, that seems to be one of those games where it was like, oh, wow, hang on a minute. He might actually have something in Zach Wilson. So when you're going up against a Chiefs defense that's number 2 in the league at the minute, and Zach Wilson was really kind of playing probably his best game I've ever seen him play. I think there's a glimmer of something there that you could probably use and try and feed off that a little bit more for him. But I was really impressed with him when he played against us. I'll not lie.
Sliding door moments as well. He was very close to getting a terrific Hail Mary that would have won the game for them last week. Had it not been for Tyler Conklin coming in and taking the ball away from Garrett Wilson, who had made the leap, but it was Tyler Conklin's hand right in the middle. You could see it. Wee things like that can just help define a season and define a player's career as well. Okay, let's go then. Let's see for the New York Jets against the Buffalo Bills. Dan, I'll come to you first of all. Who's going to win there? You give if you're feeling cocky, by how much?
I'm going to stick with. I've said since the off season, and I've said over the last couple of weeks, I'm sticking with it. I'm not changing. the Bills are done. Stick a fork in them. Their Super Bowl aspirations are finished. I still think the Jets will finish ahead of them this season, especially if they can get Aaron Rodgers back. The Jets will finish ahead of the Bills this season, and they'll finish more than likely 2 in the division. And I'm going to say Zach Wilson will have a very similar game to play against the Chiefs here, and he will lead the Jets to a victory. Again, it's going to be tight. Less than 7. I don't know where in that's going to be safeties, field goals, whatever. But I think the Jets will win this. Less than 7, though.
Oof, wow. Scud, what about yourself?
I'd like, if it was possible, both to lose, but since I'm having to go with one, I would need to go. I'll go with the Jets. Much the thing, I've Buffalo have been concerning this year, and I just think that defense with how they're playing, changing offensive coordinators, I don't think that's a good recipe at all. So I would definitely think I'm going with the Jets by 3.
Jets by 3. Brad, what about yourself?
I'm going to go Bills with this one, actually, because I just think that, we've seen it time and time again in Premier League football, where you get a new manager in, and suddenly the team gets changed and galvanized, and they go on a bit of a winning streak, don't they? But I also think as well, because of obviously last week what happened with the Bills when they were lost, they should have really kind of taken the initiative in that game. But I think it was something that Nick Wright said on TV, and he basically said that Josh Allen's up and down. He's like a roller coaster, and he's already hit that down point now from last week. He's probably on an up point now, and I think it might be pressures off. New offensive coordinator calling the plays. It might be a new fresh pair of eyes. It could set them on the way again.
Do you agree there, Craig? Is Joe Brady going to be the difference maker in this game?
I think, like I'd said before, I think the Bills have got an opportunity here to kind of stop the rot, turn things around a little bit, and they're not going to have a better opportunity than they will against this Jets team, who are not a high-scoring team. I don't think either side is playing with a huge amount of confidence, but I do think the Bills should have just about enough. I don't think it'll be by a big margin. I think it will be a tight game, but I'm going to agree with Brad. I think the Bills will edge this one.
They can decide and vote then. I too, I'm going to go for the Bills. That window is open. It's just a creaking open tiny.
Yeah, you said it was shut. Wait a minute.
No, there's a gentle breeze coming in. Just there's a
wee draft coming in.
Wee draft coming in. I think drafting quite high by the sound of it next year. I think what the difference between the Bills and the Jets this year, this game, will be the offense. And if the Joe Brady comes in and he can get Stephon Diggs on side, maybe get the ball to him a wee bit more, then I think that will help heal some of the wins in that dressing room and make it a happy home once again. So there we go. The Crew are deciding 3-2 to the Bills for that one. Grant, right, this is one we've all been waiting for. We've taken an hour and 8 minutes to get there, but it's the Cards at the Texans. This is probably the most exciting, the most interesting game of the week. CJ Stroud up against a returning Kyler Murray. I'm really excited for this game. I think both teams have actually been valued to watch this year. Craig, you have been having a wee quick look at this for us. What have you noted for the Cardinals travelling to Texans?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a cracking matchup. You've got CJ Stroud and company continuing to impress this season. 5-4 Texans taking on the 1-0 Arizona Cardinals. They threw a flag. They said, no, false start to this season, guys. We didn't have Kyler Murray, so they're 1-0. The question is just, can Murray kind of rejuvenate the Cardinals a little bit? They got the win last week, which was certainly a step in the right direction after they get absolutely pumped by the Browns the week before. So yeah, Murray coming back is definitely a good thing. It's a positive thing. One thing that I will say though is let's not blame Josh Dobbs for the Cardinals situation at the beginning of the season, because we've all seen that he's actually amazing. So I'll not have a bad word said about what Josh Dobbs did at the Cardinals.
But it's not his Cardinal sin.
There we go. But yeah, can Murray help salvage anything from the Cardinals season? I think their chances of making the playoffs are a bit like Joshua Dobbs' eyebrows in that they are non-existent. But we'll see what happens. It's a fascinating matchup. These two quarterbacks. We've heaped praise on Stroud and the Texans a lot over the past week or two, and rightly so, because they have been really entertaining to watch. The game 2 weeks ago was just fantastic, and last week was the same. If they can continue, then yes, I think that they'll have enough to overcome the Cardinals in this game. Particularly the fact that they're playing at home is a massive one, and there's quite a lot of incentives for the Texans in this game as well. Because I was having a wee look at, when you look at their division at the moment now, they're 5-4. They're sitting second behind the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have blown a wee bit hot and cold. They've suffered some pretty bad losses as well as some good wins this season. So if they can win this week against the Cardinals, which I think they will, who are they playing the week after? Massive game, also at home, and they're playing the Jags. So there's huge incentive for them this week from that point of view as well. They managed to click in the ground last week, which was another kind of notable thing, because prior to Pierce being injured and being out, he wasn't the best. And as a Pierce fantasy owner, I can certainly testify to that. He was seeing a lot of snaps, but he was all fart and no jobby, as we sometimes say in Scotland. Just not getting the yards on the ground that you would want him to see. So you then had Singletary coming in, and he was brilliant last week, 33 fantasy points. My concern is, what are they going to do now that you've got Singletary and you've got Pierce fit again? Do they maybe start to look at more of a committee approach there? I don't know. Do they see more of a timeshare on the ground? I don't know what's going to happen there, because I picked up Singletary on the waiver wire. So I don't know what to do. I don't know who to start at running back from the Texans' point of view. But yeah, it's going to be a cracking game. One thing I will say as well, actually, last week I couldn't make it on the pod, but I told everyone for your tight end who to pick up was Cards tight end, and he had an absolutely brilliant game last week. So I think him and Murray had a good wee bit of chemistry last week. So maybe we'll see the same again this week. Trey McBride, he had a cracking game from both a fantasy point of view, and obviously he was like his top target last week. So
it was most receptions a Cardinal tight end had since I think they've gone back to like the 80s or something like that. It was ridiculous. Great. Thanks. I'm glad you kept going on there. That one caught me off guard. Arnold Jobby, that's terrific. Superb. Was not expecting that one. Whew, right, okay. Good. So looking at it then, let's start with the Texans then. So some of their offensive players in it. We've been talking about some of the rookies, so CJ Stroud, but I think Tank Dell has done fantastically well. Another one that's doing great for the Texans is Nico Collins. Both well over 500 yards for the season so far, but I think there's more to come from them. But we've also got the old heads in there. Bobby Trees, Robert Woods is in, doing his bit, 242 yards, and the tight end Dalton Schultz with 421 yards. I think that wee mixture of experience and youthful exuberance is actually holding quite well for them.
I thought you said, when you said turned in 42 years, I thought you said turning 42. And I was like, that wouldn't surprise me for Robert Woods, because it feels like he's been around the NFL for that long and he's been around that many teams.
Absolutely.
Looking at the wide receivers, I've just pulled up the injury report as such this week. So far, the Texans have as questionable Nico Collins, Noah Brown, and Dalton Schultz, 3 of their key receivers.
I saw that, Dan. No, you're spot on, mate. A lot of questionables. Hopefully nothing major, but definitely want to keep an eye on, because that might be.
Noah Brown didn't practice today, or whenever that is. Nico Collins was limited. Dalton Schultz was limited, and Robert Woods didn't practice at all. So that's. And Damien Pierce was another one. Where did I see his name? He was questionable.
He's questionable as well.
Either.
Yeah, he's still questionable. I think he's hopefully going to make it back, but.
So basically, what is going to have to happen is that CJ Stroud and Tank Dell are going to have to beat the Cardinals on their own.
Yeah, well, the Cards they've got James Conner back as well on that side, so they can at least rely on the running game as well, because he's basically, before Murray coming back, the running game was about all the Cardinals had, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, if Murray plus Conner together, that can only be a good thing for the Cardinals.
Yeah, Conner of course had been placed on IR, but still so far this season he's leading the team with 437 yards. Amari DeMercado has come in, done reasonably well to steady the ship there, but James Conner was part of he was keeping the team honest in the early seasons. I think everybody was expecting them to properly tank, but his performances were really making people take note, especially the Cowboys, Dan?
Hey, just on that note, the Cardinals' second highest rusher this season is Josh Dobbs. 258 yards. Still their second highest rusher this season.
Fantastic. Hopefully that will stay the same at the end of the season. You'll be able to have it for multiple teams, because I'm pretty sure he'll do quite well in that Vikings team as well for the season. Good. Any other interesting points? Anything you're looking forward to seeing from the Texans versus the Cards?
I still think we're still waiting. Will Anderson breaking out? That's going to have to happen at some point.
Yeah,
still waiting on it.
Still waiting on it. We are still waiting on it. So maybe I get a week against the Cardinals. I mean, just imagine I'm chasing Kyler Murray up and down the pitch this weekend, but surely at some point, Will Anderson's got to break out. You know what I mean? Is it going to be this week? Who knows?
Yeah, fantastic. Right, quick fire then. Craig, who are you going for this game?
Oh, definitely the Texans. I think even if they do have a couple of questionable injuries, I don't think that. I think the pass defense for the Cards is just too leaky. I think the Texans are just going to be too strong. So yeah, I'm definitely going Texans in this one by at least a couple of scores. You're
nodding your head in agreement there, Brad.
Yeah, absolutely. CJ Stroud's just been absolutely dominant so far this year. Just phenomenal player to watch. He's actually made me want to watch the Texans, which I mean, that's a feat in itself. Just making me watch the Texans. But one question I've got to ask on the Cardinals is why now? Why now do they start bringing in Kyler Murray, right? When we're in the prime position to actually tank for the rest of the season and keep him fit and healthy. I mean, yeah, he's probably going at the end of the year, but anyway. But why do it? Why ruin the whole tanking, for higher draft picks and stuff like that? I just don't get it. I just really don't get it. But more power to them.
Yeah, I wonder if it's more game just anyway. To keep the rest of the squad ticking over, and you really want them. You're looking ahead to next season. You want to have a little bit of momentum going into the next season coming. So for the players that are going to be left behind, they're going to have a bit of resentment if they see that Kyler Murray is just getting to sit and play Modern Warfare all day and getting super chunky.
Watching tape. He's not playing video games anymore.
Maybe that's why they brought him back, because the new COD game was just released. The technology that came back in the fucking facility.
What's actually happened is the Cardinals have snuck Lovie Smith onto their coaching team and not told anybody, so he decided he's giving up the number one pick.
There we go. The Bears will get it again.
I just don't want the Patriots to get the number one pick. I just don't want
that. Scott, who are you taking?
I'll Again, I'll go with the Texans. I can't see anything happen, and I can see Tank Dell. I don't think he was out. Tank Dell was only wide receiver about, but last week. But I definitely think can see another big game coming from him. I got double, at least 2 touchdown game for him.
Yep.
Yep.
Dan.
Yeah, Texans by a comfortable margin. I don't think the Cardinals will be bad. I don't think the Cardinals aren't going to score points. I just think the Texans are going to score a lot more.
Fantastic. Right, I am to complete this. No, I'm not going to complete this week. James Conner's going to run absolute riot this weekend. Him and Kyler Murray getting the rushing yards in there for the Cardinals, and the Cardinals are going to maintain their honesty and get their... When is this of the season for them? This will be their 3rd win of the season. Yeah.
Well, seen you've been away for a while, mate.
No, they're going to go 2-0, Keith. Come on, I told you that.
What's really happened here is that Keith actually wants the Texans to win, and he knows he can't give them a full house because the crew will then jinx them.
That's actually a good point as well. We've not been very good at that.
That's it.
Oh,
you guys have been honking at your prediction. So, like you say, just keep me honest here. Keep me honest. Okay, fantastic. Right, let's fire through the rest of the games. I'm going to come to one of you at a time. Quick fire, random. What do you think is going to be the results of the game? Who's going to win? What will be the main standout part and maybe a standout performer? Brad, I'll come to you first of all then for the Ravens, the Bengals. That's the game that's on tomorrow morning, 1:15. Yeah, the Thursday night football game. Who are you going for that one?
This is the one that every Chiefs fan's looking forward to, actually, because it's going to be a bit of a tasty one just to see how the Bengals are going to do this and how the Ravens are going to fare against the Bengals as well. And it's, I think it's going to be a tasty affair. It's going to be quite close, I think. Obviously, Joe Burrow had a bit of an issue at the beginning of the season. He seems to have sorted those out. Yes, okay, they lost in the last game, but also so did the Ravens. A bit of a get-right game for both of them. But the Ravens looked, before the defeat last week, they looked like they were really kind of back to form again. And I'm thinking the Ravens are going to kind of edge this because the Bengals have had a few issues. I think, is T. Higgins injured still? I'm not sure. He's out. Going to be there.
Yep.
So it's going to keep them a bit lopsided, I think. And I tell you what, Orlando Brown Jr. at that left tackle position is getting Joe Burrow buried every game. So I'm thinking the Ravens are going to win that literally on maybe a strip sack or something like that, I think, this game.
Ooh. Yeah. Burrow, of course, was videoed by the Bengals' own media team arriving at the facility with a strap on his right hand, which was quickly deleted earlier on today. So I think you might be right there with the Ravens taking that one. My stock in Tyler Boyd, of course, rising every week. Scott, come to you for the Browns Steelers. Really, this should have been match of the week.
No, I talked about Steelers enough last week. I think I'm going to have to go with the Steelers, just the fact that... No, actually, the Browns. I'll go with the Browns. The defence will be enough to see them through it, even without Watson.
Probably a positive that Watson's out for the rest of the season now. They'll be able to focus as at DTR. It's taking over. Yeah. Dan, come to you then for the Dolphins against the Raiders.
Dolphins by an absolute mile.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the...
Sorry to jump back in there. Pierce has actually seemed to have rejuvenated that squad. They seem to really want to play for him. I was maybe doing the Vegas, the Raiders a bit of the service. I completely forgot about what I've been watching. I watched a few videos and a few interviews with Pierce. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. We had the practice squad players on the sideline for the game last week.
Yeah.
And he basically said that anybody that is in our practice squad or not, they're a Raider. So they're on the sideline for us. That's one way to get your players playing for you is having that kind of mentality. But yeah, Dolphins will still win it, but I forgot, so I give Raiders a bit of disservice there. The Dolphins will win comfortably, but I'm really liking what I'm hearing out of Pierce.
I'm very much so. He seems to be getting the togetherness of the team, getting the family attitude to everybody to join in, all pushing in the one direction. It's quite impressive to see. Hopefully, he does well for the rest of the season. But I think the
It's a shame that he's not going to be in next season. It'll be Harbaugh instead. And to be fair,
very much looks like it. Very much looks like it's Smudger. Lions versus the Bears. There we go. It's the age-old question: who'd win in a fight between a lion and a bear? This is going to be a mauling for Sunday.
I mean, don't get me wrong, as a Vikings fan, I would love to see the Bears beat the Lions, just so that it gives us a wee favour. But I can't see it happening, to be honest. I think Lions are going to beat the Bears quite comfortably. So yeah, Lions win for me. Yeah,
Justin Fields. I think they're looking like he'll be back. Is he back, or was it like last week where there was going to be a game time decision, but it was definitely out.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be back for this one. Brad, back to you then for the Jags and the Titans.
Oh, I can't really take this one. I really like the Jags. I think they've got a lot of good skill position players. I think they have had a bit of an up and down season, I suppose, the Jags, but I can't look their wide receiving core. I think they just look phenomenal. So I'm going with the Jags on that comfortably.
Fantastic. Yeah. Will Levis not doing enough for you just yet. He had a great opening game, but no, I think it's going to take a while
last
before.
Week.
I did actually pick him up on fantasy. I did pick him up just in case.
I'd stashed him early on.
I've dropped him this week.
He's going to come good eventually. Packers, Chargers, Scud.
Chargers.
Yeah, Herbert finger be all right. He'll be cooking again. No love for Justin.
Like the Packers, so no, the Packers. I just find them very bland and boring to watch. So at least with the Chargers, even if the Charger, it's a fun game to watch. So to me, I'm voting with my heart the team that I would like to watch and win. So Chargers.
Is that a Belichick fan wishing that? Is
it? Yeah, rumours have already lined up to head there next year. That'll be interesting. There.
That's why he's picking the Chargers. That's why he's doing it. He's feathering his nest now already.
Yeah, Scott, you suit that colour of blue. Dan, Panthers and Cowboys. There you go. You get your home team.
Yeah, I mean, a lot was expected of Bryce Young going into this season. He was the one that's got the highest ceiling of the quarterbacks. He's not really done much. To be fair, he's not really got much round about him. If Adam Thielen's your only option, then you're really struggling. No disrespect to Thielen, he has done well this season, but as a rookie quarterback coming into this, you need more than him to help you. This is going to be another run-up score for us. I think we could see another bit of a demolition this week, unfortunately, for the Panthers.
Excuse me, you said the same about Arizona.
What?
Dallas with a score in Arizona.
And we should have.
But you didn't.
But to be fair, as Craig has told us, Josh Dobbs is MVP. What are you talking
about?
Exactly. MVP. Craig, Commanders and Giants.
Oh, I mean, come on, has anyone got any faith in Tony DeVito? Let's be honest. Commanders, yeah, the Giants are just a bit of a mess all round. So yeah, it's going to be a Washington win for me.
Keith has made a wee point there. That is the Commanders are led by the passing leader in the league this season so far in yards.
Yeah, Sam Howell with 2,783 yards, followed closely, not too closely, by CJ Stroud, 2,626, and then it's Tua to go Vailoa, and Josh Allen, Jared Goff, Pat Mahomes in there as well. That's surprising. It's a bit of a shock
MVP
that
right
one
there.
That's our left field one, definitely. Okay, next up then we have the 49ers versus the Bucks, Brad.
I've got to go 49ers. I think they had a bit of a couple of game blip, didn't they? A couple of weeks ago. They seem to have just found the mojo again. They're actually been my tip for the Super Bowl, believe it or not. I just think they're just going to be dominant. And I think having that little blip of back-to-back defeats has kind of just restoked the fire a bit more. So I'm going 49ers dominant win again.
Yeah, I think it was the O-line and the D-line certainly stepped up last week to really stamp their authority on the game. I think they'll continue that on. That's the perfect time to have that wee wobble early in the mid-season, so that you can really put the push in for this is the business end now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who have we got next? So Bills and Jets we've covered. Rams versus the Seahawks. I'll take this one. Seahawks win. How you like that? Yeah.
Sanaki, instant, decisive.
That's it. Yeah.
I wonder who's getting the last game. The one he's not covered yet. I wonder who's getting that one.
Also, my wife and everybody's just come home, and I'm getting hunted for an hour and a half. Damn it! I apologise. Absolutely.
I've never went an hour. An hour 32 is the longest we went. So well done, Keith.
Craig, I'll come to you then for the Broncos Vikings. Heartbreak for you.
Come on.
Monday night game.
Is this even a question? The pastronaut, the pocket scientist, the browless wonder himself is going to once again show his MVP stuff. It's going to be a Vikings win, 6 wins on the bounce, and pushing for that top spot in the NFC North.
I really feel we should have had some rousing music behind you with that one. That was great. I'm all for it. Just a big horn blowing in the background there. Superb.
Hey, don't count out the Broncos. They beat the Chiefs and the Bills.
They did. No pushovers.
The Chiefs and the Bills don't have
Mr. Unlimited.
Keep players like Pat Surtain. I think that's shown that they do mean business. They aren't tanking. I'll be.
See as the boss, Keith. See as you're the boss. See how you in football we do these things like your local football team where you can sponsor a player for the season. I think we should get in contact with the Vikings and sponsor Josh Dobbs for the rest of the season.
Oh yeah,
amazing.
We need to cut a wee promo where we're turning away and go, "I'm a dobber." Just everybody doing it. We'll get the wee bald hats.
We're all dobbers.
Superb.
Right, removes your eyebrows.
Yeah,
there we go, guys. Alopecia is a funny thing. My dad had it, but it was after my mum's horrendous cooking. I think he'd just stress it all. Married life just kicked off. But he's doing fantastically well. Josh Dobbs, superb. Right, let's go on to our fantasy studs and sleepers. I'll come to each of you for your suggestions for the teams for this week. And first up, we've got Brad for your stud QB this week.
We talked about him quite a bit. CJ Stroud, absolute stud right now. I think he's definitely in the chat of at least being, I don't know, offensive player of the year or something like that. I don't know. He's going to get something at the end of this year for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. Dan, what about your sleeper then for the QB?
So this guy, I feel would not normally be a sleeper, right? But he's coming back from injury, so he has to be sleeper. That's kind of way I'm looking at it. And it's Matt Stafford. I think he come back into that Rams team. He's going to basically rejuvenate their offense. I think Stafford's going to put the points up this week, so he's going to be my sleeper.
Fantastic, and ultimately be defeated. So it's just a shame for him.
Well, he puts up the points. I'm right. It doesn't matter if he wins or loses.
That's absolutely true. That's all that matters. Scud, come to you for the running back.
I'm going with Gibbs versus the Bears. My fancy, he's just looking better and better every time I see him. So I'm against the Bears D. I'm thinking he's going to have a good old time himself. And the sleeper, I went with Chandler for the Vikings against the Broncos.
Ooh.
Yes.
Just don't. Whatever's happening with what's his name again, Smudger?
Alexander Mattison. He's still in concussion protocol as well, so he's possibly doubtful even to make the.
So to me, I think Chandler's a good shout against the Broncos. If it's going to be a decent game, hopefully they can get the running game going, and he'll take part in that.
Yep.
Ty Chandler was someone who was mentioned on one of the Athletic podcasts early on in the season, the one with the GM, the football GM, had mentioned that he sees him as a player that's got everything, and after a wee bit of bedding in period, he's going to be a bit of a force for the team. So, yeah, I hope he does well. That's a great shout there. Wide receivers, Craig, come to you for your stud and sleeper wide receivers, please.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to offer an apology for my prediction of DeAndre Hopkins as a stud wide receiver last week, because he was absolutely honking after seeing 11 targets the week before. But to quote Meatloaf, Scud, you took the words right out of my mouth, mate. I'm going for Tank Dell. I think he is going to be a stud wide receiver this week, and I also agree with Scud's prediction of possibly a 2-touchdown performance from him. So he is definitely my stud wide receiver this week.
Terrific. Tank Dell going to be doing things this week. Dan, tight ends. We did well last week with Trey McBride. Can you continue the form?
We never get Craig Sleeper there. We missed Craig Sleeper.
Oh, hang on.
Sorry, that's what we did. See, this
that's
is why you've been holding the fort for so long, bud. You're doing well. Craig, go for it.
Yeah, no. Brad mentioned them earlier on. Rashee Rice. I think the Chiefs chucking the ball around. Rice is hopefully going to put in a decent performance this week, so he's my sleeper wide receiver.
Terrific. Dan, tight end.
I'm in that situation where I've got two that could potentially be studs, but I'm going to pass one off as a sleeper. So stud this week, Sam Laporta for the Lions, the Bears. I think that should be a matchup that suits all of the Lions receivers, and obviously Scott said about Gibbs, but I think Laporta it's a game that could be made for him to pick up some points. Sleeper, I'm going to go about a homer pick, Jake Ferguson. He's just getting better and better each week. We've got a good matchup against the Panthers. Obviously we've seen Lamb and Cooks pick up some good points last week. I think it's a good matchup for Dak to throw the ball and spread his targets about. So yeah, I'm going to go with Ferguson.
I tried actually to pick up Ferguson and with a trade with our Chiefs fans studs, sending Kelsey his way, and I can't remember the other players involved, but he actually knocked it back because Ferguson has such a favourable run coming up just now and how well he's playing. So I totally agree. That's a great shout.
Studs absolutely loves Ferguson. He's not stopped talking about him all season.
Yeah.
Did you realise he's not Barry Ferguson?
Derek Barry.
It's Ian Ferguson.
Very Ferguson.
Scuds, I'm coming to you for the defenses then. Who's your stud defense for this week?
I think touched on it, you touched about it there, Dan. It's Cowboys versus the Panthers. I can't see the Panthers doing much, to be honest with you. So I think the Cowboys are going to hold them down to very little and probably come away with takeaways. Sleeper, I had down Chargers, but I'm actually going to change it to the Jets. That's how strongly, after talking about that game, I think they're going to come up good against the Bills.
No, fantastic. Yeah, good shout, mate. Good shout. And finish it off. The one that everybody's been waiting 138 minutes for is your stud and sleeper kickers, Craig.
I hope I've lived up to expectation. I'm going for, again, because the Cardinals are, like I said, they're 1-0, going for 2-0. I'm picking Matt Prater because I think that, although I think the Texans are going to win that game, the Cards will hopefully give them opportunity. When Murray coming back, get them up the field, but whether they're going to have enough to get into the end zone or not, because yeah, I think he's in with a shout of being a decent kicker choice this week.
Fantastic. And your sleeper?
Yeah, my sleeper kicker, I'm going for Nick Folk. He's a pretty reliable fantasy option, and I think he's a good pick for the Titans against the Jags this week.
Fantastic. Superb. Guys, this has been a marathon, a slog, but it has been great fun chatting to you about football, and especially the interesting matches that we've got coming up in week 11. Brad, thanks very much for joining us. We can follow you on Twitter at BritChiefUK. Studs, a huge fan of yours, of course, has already been on, singing your praise on Twitter, and we certainly will be doing the same. We'll be retweeting out your details there. Thanks very much for joining us, Brad.
No, thanks very much for having me, lads. It's been a hoot. It's been great.
Yeah, we'll look forward to getting you back on later on in the season. Hopefully the Chiefs will be continuing to progress well, and it'll be a great game this weekend against the Eagles. Dan, my hat off to you. I've not realised that you can't just come back in and just get straight in there. You need a good team around you, and I've certainly got it with you guys here. So a marathon tonight. I think I might be needing another couple of weeks off after this. But thanks very much for hosting over the past couple of weeks, and thanks for your help tonight as well, mate.
I know, Barky. I mean, I know you've now set the standard, so when I come back in next Thursday night, I know as long as I run to about an hour and 39 minutes, you can't give me any something like
that. We're going to have a crew meeting. We're going to have to rejig this somehow because I don't think we've got to have enough bandwidth for the rest of the month. We've got another 4 podcasts, never mind the other 8 or so that we've got lined up. Scud, great seeing you again, mate. Hope to speak to you soon. We're going to try and do a podcast focusing on the state of the Patriots. We're looking to branch out and do some standalone podcasts this season. This is certainly one. We've got a great panel lined up for that, and hopefully be able to get that organised soon. Hopefully before Bill Belichick heads to the West Coast anyway.
Enough. How can we talk about it when they were doing well? We'll have to come in and talk about it when they're absolute pish.
And Smudger, great seeing you again, mate. Thanks very much for joining us, and hopefully the Vikes continue their charging up the table. It was looking a bit shaky for Kevin O'Connell after 3 games, but guys are doing a tremendous job now.
It took us a while to get going, but I've been enjoying the past few weeks and thoroughly enjoyed being on the pod tonight with you boys. It's always a really good laugh. Really enjoyed it. So yeah, cheers, guys.
Thanks very much for listening. If you made it this far, God bless you. You've done some shift there. Leave us a favourable rating on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever you listen to the podcast. Get in touch with the crew if you'd love to be part of the crew. We're always looking for new voices, new people to come on and chat about their team, especially as we're widening our fan base and the amount of teams that we actually cover. So if your team hasn't been on much this season, we'd love to hear from you. But certainly, get in touch. I've been all over the place in an absolute disgrace, and whether I'm back again the next couple of weeks remains to be seen. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll speak to you soon.